What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today we're talking about FUN Lacquer. I'm actually partnering up with them to show you their 9th anniversary collection, which is unlike anything I've ever tried before, so I'm really excited. So this collection is actually 3 holographic magnetic powders, and you actually mix them with nail polish to create your holographic magnetic nail polish. So it's actually a really fun process. I'm going to show you how to do it, and then I'm also going to show you the swatches of the 3 different powders, and then we'll talk a little bit more about pricing, availability, all that good stuff. So let's just start with the basics. We have these little magnetic holographic powders, and they can be used with gel polish or they can be used with regular lacquer. So let me talk you through what you need first. Obviously, you're going to need the holographic magnetic powder. You also want a clear nail polish to mix in with. Now, this is a little bit different from top coat because this isn't the kind that will dry and harden your manicure. This is just what you use to create the nail polish. I'm going to be showing you both with gel and with regular clear nail polish, and FUN Lacquer does have both as an option. Then you're going to need something to mix with. Now, FUN Lacquer actually also just released this little glass plate that you can use. It's super easy to clean as well. I just used pure acetone to wipe mine off in between. It ends up being totally fine. It didn't ruin it at all, but you can also just use regular nail polish remover. And then the last thing you'll need, of course, is a magnet, a nail magnet specifically. So with all of those ingredients for our nail polish recipe, let me show you how to do it. It's actually really easy, and it seemed to me a little bit intimidating when I first saw these, but it's actually a really fun process and it's very easy to get the hang of. So of course, step 1, you want to apply your base coat, and if you want to use a base color. Now, all the swatches that I'm showing are over black, just because with magnetic pigment, I usually like to have a base color underneath just so I can see the 3-dimensionality of that magnetic polish. So I think they look super awesome over black, but you can really do it over any color. The next step is to take your powder and take your clear polish and put it on your little mixing plate and mix them together. There's really not a specific ratio that you're supposed to do. I tried it with using a tiny bit of powder. I tried it with using a good amount of powder, and I find that it looks awesome either way. A little bit of the powder does go a really long way, especially if you're using it as a topper. So don't feel like you need to use a lot. I was also curious to see how much mixing it would actually require, because in my experience with using other pigments, I've found that the nail polish can get a little bit clumpy, but that is not the case at all with these. I found as soon as I started mixing them, it just blended perfectly in with the clear coat. So you don't have to worry about mixing it for a long time. It actually is just a very quick mix. For this step, I actually recommend doing 1 nail's worth at a time. If you're using gels, you could do a couple of nails worth because it's not going to dry on the plate. But with magnetic nail polish, you do kind of want to work quickly to make sure that it doesn't dry before you can magnetize. So if you're using regular polish especially, I would recommend just doing 1 nail at a time. So of course, the next step, once you have it all mixed together, which like I said is very quick, you want to paint it onto your nail, and then while the nail polish is still wet, you can apply your magnet. And these magnetics work whatever way you want to magnetize them. So you can either do the classic cat eye, which is that like line across the nail, or you can do that crystal aura pigment where it's kind of spread out across the nail and gives that 3-dimensional effect. So for the cat eye, it's recommended to hold the magnet for 30 seconds over it, and then for the aura pigment, you want to just move the magnet around the nail until you're satisfied. And then you can go ahead and put your top coat on it. Regular top coat is totally fine to use over this powder. And I do recommend that you magnetize after the top coat as well so that the magnetic pigment stays in place. So yeah, that is the steps for how to do it and the tools that you need. So let me show you the 3 different powder colors because we have some really gorgeous options here. And then we'll talk a little bit more about pricing, availability, and my thoughts. So roll the swatch footage. I'm just gonna dive right in. Like I told you guys, I am using a black base color underneath these swatches, but we'll start off with the shade Diamond Holonetic, which is actually the pigment that I just used in the intro to show you how to use this product, but I am going to show you with each color how it looks with a cat eye versus how it looks with the aura / crystal pigment. So first we'll do the cat eye. As you can see, this is a classic silver linear Holo. And to me, this is just the classic holographic color. Whenever I think of holographic nail polish, I'm always thinking of the classic silver Holo. So definitely appreciate them making that a part of this collection because I just feel like it's a staple. And it is so cool when you magnetize it. Of course, all of that pigment compresses to where it's been magnetized, and because it's holographic, you get like a little scattering of silver Holo around as well, just the pieces that didn't get picked up by the magnet, and it looks so much like an easy Galaxy manicure. Like, this to me feels like the solution to Galaxy manicures. Not that there was ever a problem with them, but if you ever just wanted an easy way to do it without having to sponge on, this just feels like the perfect way to do that. So let me show you also how it looks with the Aura pigment. And this one is hard to tell on camera, I will say, just because holographic pigment tends to show a little bit better when it's slightly out of focus. So you can see as I kind of move around, it does have that three-dimensional effect, but it's kind of hard to tell because my camera isn't picking up as much of that holo, but you can still see it's actually super holographic. It's really gorgeous. And I love doing this crystal effect, especially when I'm using gels, just because I can take as much time as I want to play around with them. And I don't have to worry about the pigment drying while I'm still in the process of magnetizing. So love the way this looks, super gorgeous. I've never seen an Aura pigment with holo in it, so it's just super fun. And after I cured it, I thought it actually looked a lot more holographic, which was super cool to see. Now let's move on to the blue diamond Holonetic, and this one is just a really beautiful deep blue. It looks a little bit lighter when it's in powder form, but once you mix it up, it has this really nice, beautiful, deep oceanic kind of blue. And with this one, just because I was experimenting around a lot, I decided to use a lot less pigment. I actually went in with about half the amount that I used for the silver, and I was actually really pleased with how it ended up looking. So first, with the cat eye, you can see it gave me a much more concentrated line because there was less of that magnetic pigment in there, but again, it's giving strong Galaxy vibes. And then I had the same experience with doing it in the Aura / crystal method as well. It ended up just looking really cool, but it was fun because I felt like at some angles you couldn't see the blue, so it was almost just like a secret three-dimensional effect based on how you moved your hand around. And honestly, my favorite thing with this crystallizing Aura style is just moving the magnet around for so long, honestly longer than I should be doing it, just because it's so much fun to see the different ways. It's like hard to decide what to settle on because it's really fun to play around with. And again, it's really holographic. It is hard to tell when you do it in this style of magnetization, but hopefully as I move around my hand, you can kind of see all of that rainbowy goodness. And last but definitely not least, we have the rose gold diamond Holonetic. And out of the three, I was surprised to say that this one ended up being my favorite. As soon as I mixed it in with the clear polish, I was so stunned about how bright and vibrant this color was. And even before I magnetized it, I noticed that it gave off a really beautiful duochrome vibe, where at some angles it looked a little bit more of like a coppery shade, and it was so saturated and beautiful. So I was really excited to see what it looked like. I did go in with a lot more pigment again, just to see how it differed from doing a little bit less pigment. So it's honestly just fun to experiment around with, and I think you'll find what amount of pigment works best for you based on what you like the best. I do like the way that it looks with a little bit more of a spread outline, which I've noticed happens when I use more pigment, but if you want a tighter cat eye line, I think that using a little bit less pigment helps with that. So was definitely curious to see what this looked like with the Aura crystal magnetization as well. And honestly, I was just gasping the whole time. It was so gorgeous. I always say that this style reminds me of a tiger's eye because that's whenever I see a tiger's eye stone, I always think it gives off that same exact effect. But with this color in particular, it was just screaming tiger's eye because this is the color of a tiger's eye stone. And if you haven't seen one, I highly recommend you look it up because they're super gorgeous. But yeah, it was super fun, especially once it was magnetized. You could see that it gave that duochrome effect as well as a holographic effect. So super fun. So here are the three different powders, and as you can see, even though it's only a trio, it's actually a pretty nice range of colors. It kind of works for anything that you want to do. You can clearly see that I definitely use the most pigment with the silver, and then I use the least pigment with the blue, just because I wanted to see how much powder would work. And honestly, like I said, a little bit goes a long way. You don't need much, but if you do want a more loud and out there kind of look, or if you even just want to wear this on its own, I think you would go with a little bit more pigment. But again, it's just fun to experiment with. I love when painting my nails becomes more than just the usual experience. Like I love when it becomes a little bit more of an activity like this, where you kind of control how it works. It reminds me a little bit of jelly nail polishes, where if you do one coat, it has a certain look. If you do 2 coats, it has a certain look. And if you do 3 coats, it looks potentially like a regular nail polish. So it's just fun to play around with and get different experiences out of the same product each time you use it. So yeah, those are the 3 Holonetic powders for their 9th anniversary. And I have to tell you, I had so much fun with these. Like I said, when I first saw them, I was so intimidated and I thought it was going to be a little bit of a learning curve, but I ended up getting the hang of it immediately. It's super easy to work with. And even just the process of mixing together was so much fun. So I definitely had a good time with these. I think the color options are gorgeous. I would love to see them do even more colors because I am just loving this like mixing myself thing. And it's also really cool because if you want to make the powders last, you can use a little bit less of them and you can have it go for a really long time. And I also really appreciate that the powders can be used with gel or regular lacquer, because as a person who uses both, I would love to have the option of just having one product instead of 2 different products. So let's talk about pricing now. First, the Holonetic powders. They come in these little plastic containers and they contain between 0.45 and 0.5 grams each. And like I said, a little bit goes a long way, so it definitely lasts a long time. And those retail for $12.99 on the FUN Lacquer website. We also have the clear nail polish that retails for $4.99. The gel version of the clear nail polish retails for $6.99 USD. This little convenient glass plate retails for $2.99 USD. And you can also use this with regular nail polish as well. So it's like a nice handy little palette. And then if you don't have a nail magnet, FUN Lacquer does sell one and that retails for $5.90 USD. But yeah, that is it for my review. I thought these were awesome. I'm curious to hear what you think, if you picked them up or if you're planning to, or if you have any questions about the process, please feel free to ask in the comments below. But otherwise, I just want to hear your thoughts. So let's chat about it. If you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please give this one a thumbs up. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I put out new videos every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. I've also been doing the occasional Thursday video just for the holiday season because there's so much to show you. So definitely stick around for those as well. And of course, a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon, my Royal Astronomer Amanda M, as well as my Cosmic Admirals, Rocket Man's daughter, Paula, Ken, and Rosie. I really appreciate your support and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.